2008, we had a problem because of too much debt. Since 2008, the debt everywhere has skyrocketed by gigantic amounts. So it would be my view that the next time we have a problem, it's going to be the worst in my lifetime, given that the debt is so, that may sound like some kind of wild statement, but look out the window, the debt is there. The debt goes higher every day. I know what it caused in 2008. It's got to be worse next time around. Eventually, of course, we may have hyperinflation. Britain ended with not hyper like Venezuela, but very serious, and the value of the currency went down 80% against the US dollar over a few decades. That's pretty serious stuff. If you happen to be a British citizen, I doubt that we will end in hyperinflation quickly. That's usually towards the very, very end of a long decline. Venezuela had been declining for a long time. Zimbabwe was in decline. Zimbabwe at one time was the richest country in the British Empire. It's been a long way down since then. Mr. Mugabe learned how to ruin the country, and he did. It took him decades, but he totally ruined it, and it ended in wild inflation. I don't think we're going to have it that quickly in the U.S., even if we're going the way of Britain. Don't panic yet. But it doesn't mean we can't have serious inflation and a decline of the standard of living and a decline of the value of the currency, and we probably will. History is pretty clear. That's what happens. Social Security will be paid. You may not be able to buy very much with your Social Security, but you will be paid. In Russia, they still pay the Soviet retirement obligations, but it doesn't do you much good. So the question is, that kind of default, I cannot see that happening in the US. However, the value of the money is certainly going to continue to decline. As I said, the British pound went down 80% against the value of the US dollar, which replaced it as the world's reserve currency. I'm sure that the value of the US dollar is going to continue to decline. Everybody watching this knows that the dollar is not what it used to be. It depends on whether you're buying bread or gasoline or anything. It's not the same, and it continues to decline. And they're not on your side, as I told you. They want to keep their jobs. I don't like saying any of this, by the way, except for the fact that I'm old. It's good to be old. It's good to be an old American in 2021. It's not good to be a young American in 2021. Well, these people don't understand much about the world. All they care about is keeping their job. In their minds, their position is keep my job, keep my job, keep my job. They don't care about your job. They don't care about me or my kids or their jobs. They want to keep their job, and the way they know to keep their job is to burn a lot of money, spend a lot of money, and keep interest rates down. They will do their best. But what will happen is eventually the market will say, oh, wait a minute. We've seen this movie. We know how this ends. And the market will say, we're not going to play your game anymore. Then it gets out of the control of the central bank, and that's when you have serious bear markets. It will be the worst in my lifetime. It's going to be the worst in your lifetime, too. I don't say that with great pleasure. I just say I have to deal with facts. There always have been people who come out of these things better off than they were before, and sometimes rich. People came out of the collapse in Germany in 1920s rich. Some people came out of the American Depression very rich in the 1930s. Most didn't, but if you get it right, of course, you can do very well. I own silver and gold, and I plan to buy more sometime in the future. My timing is never very good, but I will definitely buy more of both, because before this is over, both are going to skyrocket. Mrs. Yellen and Mr. Powell say, no, don't worry about, leave gold and silver alone. You don't need it. That's antique. That's archaic. Well, I'm an old peasant, and I know, all of us old peasants know, when things go wrong, we want to have a little silver over in the closet. We want to have a little gold under the bed, because we know that when things collapse, gold and silver will help you. It won't take care of you, it will help you. So I am buying both, and I will buy more. I'm also buying commodity indexes, because by definition, if commodities go higher, that's inflation. If the price of rice goes up, that's inflation. So I own rice. I own agricultural commodities. I own all commodities through an index, because by definition, if they're going to drive up prices, those will benefit. As I see the world, bonds are clearly a bubble all over the world. Bonds have never been this high in the history of the world. So I don't think I would start with bonds unless there's a special situation.